The California Gold Rush. On January 24th, 1848, John Marshall discovered gold in the American River at Sutter's Fort, California. He wasn't looking for gold. He discovered it by chance. This discovery changed the destiny of California. Suddenly, this wild territory of the Far West became world famous. During 1849, more than 80,000 people arrived in California looking for gold. They came from the United States, Europe, Central and South America, and China. They were called gold miners, gold prospectors, or simply 49ers. A lot of 49ers were poor. Their dream was to find gold and strike it rich. A lot of them found gold, but only a few became very rich and important. With the hard-working gold miners, there came saloon keepers, gamblers, dishonest people, and outlaws. It was difficult to keep law and order in the Far West.
The celebrated jumping frog of Calaveras County. A letter from the East. One day, a friend of mine from the East wrote me a letter. He asked me to visit an old man named Simon Wheeler. My friend wanted me to ask Simon Wheeler about a childhood companion, Leonidas W. Smiley. I found Simon Wheeler sleeping by the stove of the old tavern in Angel's mining camp. I noticed that he was fat. His face was simple and peaceful. When he woke up, I told him that a friend of mine wanted to know about a childhood companion named Leonidas W. Smiley. Simon Wheeler blocked me with his chair in a corner of the tavern. Then, very seriously, he began to tell me the story that follows. There was once a fellow at the mining camp named Jim Smiley. It was the winter of 1849, or maybe the spring of 1850. He was an unusual man. He always bet money on anything that happened at the mining camp, and he usually won. Jim Smiley was a very lucky man. When there was a horse race, a dog fight, a cat fight, or a chicken fight, he always bet on them.
Exercise 4. Now, listen and check your answers. Dear Mark, do you still remember me? I'm William Brown, your friend from New York. I want to go to California to look for gold. My dream is to live in a mining camp in the Sierra Nevada mountains. Can you go to Angel's mining camp to visit an old man named Simon Wheeler? Simon knows my childhood friend, Leonidas W. Smiley. I want to know all about Leonidas Smiley before I travel to California. Thank you, Mark. Your friend, William.
bets, and races. Smiley owned an old horse that was slow and sick, but he won money on her. The poor horse had asthma and other animal illnesses. At races, she had a head start because of her health problems. Near the end of every race, she became very excited and desperate. She galloped wildly, kicked her legs in the air, to the sides, raised the dust, coughed, and blew her nose. At the end of the race, she was always the happy winner. Smiley also had a small bulldog named Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was a lazy dog and did nothing all day long. But when Smiley bet money on him, he was lively and ready to fight. When there was an important dog fight at the mining camp, Andrew Jackson always grabbed the back leg of the other dog. He didn't chew on it. He only kept it between his strong teeth. He didn't let go until Smiley won the bet.
Life in the mining camps. From 1848, many mining camps were established in the Gold Country, near the American River and in the Sierra Nevada mountains. These camps were small settlements. They were organized quickly to meet the miners' everyday needs. A mining camp usually had a saloon, a hotel, a stable, a general store, an undertaker, and a bank. Miners often paid for their food, drink, clothing, and other things with gold dust or gold nuggets. Brawls and fights were common, and killings were not unusual. These were tough times, and camps were rough places. Today, a lot of camps have become ghost towns. Others have grown into towns and cities, such as Angels Camp, Auburn, Grass Valley, Jackson, Mariposa, Nevada City, Murphys, Placerville, and Sonora. You can visit them and their abandoned mines when you go to California. Take U.S. State Highway 80 to Sacramento, and then take California Highway 49 to the Gold Country.
Daniel Webster. Smiley found a frog one day and named it Daniel Webster. He took it home and planned to teach it a lot of things. For 3 months, Smiley sat outside his house and taught his frog how to jump far. Daniel Webster was a clever frog and learned quickly. Smiley gave him a little push from behind, and Daniel Webster flew into the air like a donut. He even turned 1 or 2 somersaults in the air. Smiley taught his frog to catch flies. "Flies, Daniel, flies!" Smiley shouted. Daniel jumped up and caught the fly with his long tongue. Daniel Webster was the champion jumping frog of Calaveras County. Smiley won all bets with his handsome frog. He was very proud of Daniel Webster.
Do you have a pet frog? If you do, take it to the Jumping Frog Jubilee. Every year in May at Angels Camp, California, there is an exciting frog competition. It is called the Jumping Frog Jubilee. Frogs from far and near can enter the competition. The frog that can jump the greatest distance is the winner. A frog named Rosie the Ribbeter is now the jumping champion of the world. In May 1986, she jumped 21 feet 5 3/4 inches, about 7 meters. If you want more information, write to Calaveras Jumping Frog Jubilee, Post Office Box 489, Angels Camp, California, 95222. Fax 209-736-2476.
A stranger at Angel's Camp. Smiley kept his frog in a box with small holes in it. One day, a stranger came to the mining camp. He saw Smiley holding the box.
"What's in that box?"
asked the stranger. "Maybe a parrot, maybe a canary." "No, it's a frog," answered Smiley. The stranger took the box and looked at it carefully.
"Yes, it is. Well, what's he good for?"
"Well," Smiley said, "he's good for one thing. He can out-jump any frog in Calaveras County." The stranger took the box again. He looked at the frog for a long time. Then he returned it to Smiley and said,
"I don't see anything special about this frog."
"Maybe you don't," said Smiley. "Maybe you understand frogs, and maybe you don't understand them. But I'll bet $40 that he can out-jump any frog in Calaveras County." The fellow answered,
"Well, I'm only a stranger here, and I don't have a frog. I can't bet."
That's all right, that's all right. Hold my box a minute. I'll go to the river and find a frog for you," said Smiley. The stranger took the box and bet his $40. Smiley bet his $40 too, and went to the river. The stranger sat down and waited for Smiley. He sat there a long time, and he began to think. Suddenly, he took Daniel Webster out of the box and opened his mouth. With a teaspoon, he put some shotgun pellets into the frog's mouth. Then he put him on the floor.
Panning for gold. The expression panning for gold was born during the California gold rush in 1848. The miners used a pan with a wire net on the bottom. They separated the gold from other materials by washing them with water. Miners usually panned for gold in the water of the rivers. The water of the river filled their pan with sand, dirt, stones, and perhaps gold dust or gold nuggets. Other miners looked for gold in caves in the Sierra Nevada mountains, and they used a pickaxe. These caves often became gold mines.
The Big Bet. After some time, Smiley returned, holding a frog, and said, "Now put him next to Daniel, with his front paws in the same place. I'll give the word." Then Smiley said, 1, 2, 3, go. He and the stranger pushed the frogs from behind. The new frog jumped forward, but Daniel didn't budge. He tried to move his shoulders, but he was anchored to the floor. Smiley was very surprised and unhappy. The stranger won the bet.
Well,
he said.
I don't see anything special about this frog.
He took the money and left. Smiley looked at Daniel for a long time. Finally, he said, "What has happened to Daniel? He looks terribly fat." He caught Daniel by the back of his neck and lifted him. "Cat's alive! You weigh 5 pounds!" He turned Daniel upside down, and the frog spit out a big number of shotgun pellets. Now he understood what happened to Daniel. Smiley was furious. He looked for the stranger everywhere, but he never found him. Simon Wheeler's story ended here. I didn't really want to hear another story about Smiley's bets, so I got up from my chair and left.
Exercise 3. Now, listen and check your answers. Dear William, I was happy to receive your letter. I went to Angel's mining camp and found Simon Wheeler. He told me lots of things about your childhood companion, Leonidas W. Smiley. His first name now is Jim. He works as a miner, and he bets on everything that happens at the camp. He owns a frog that is a champion jumper. He usually wins every bet with his frog, but recently a stranger tricked him, and he lost a $40 bet. When you come to California, I'll take you to Angel's Saloon to meet the miners. Your friend, Mark. Are you dressed like a gold miner? Looking for gold was not easy. It was hard work from sunrise to sunset. Miners often worked on their knees. They needed strong work clothes. Levi Strauss was an immigrant tailor at one of the mining camps. He began making work pants called blue jeans, or Levi's. Blue jeans became very popular in the West. Later on, Levi Strauss opened a blue jeans factory in San Francisco. Today, in San Francisco, the Levi Strauss offices are at Levi Strauss Plaza by the bay.
Animal sounds. Listen to these animal sounds and write the number in the correct box. The first one has been done for you. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Number 6. Number 7. Number 8. Number 9. Number 10. Curing a cold. The first sneeze. When the White House of Virginia City, Nevada, burnt down, I lost my home, my happiness, my health, and my trunk. The loss of my home and my happiness was not a problem. A home without a mother or a sister who care for you isn't really a home. The loss of my happiness was not a problem either. I'm not a poet, and so I'm usually a happy person. But the loss of my good health and of my handsome trunk was a serious problem. On the day of the fire, I caught a terrible cold. The first time I began to sneeze, achoo! A friend told me to put my feet in hot water and then go to bed. I did this. The next day, another friend advised me to take a cold shower. I did this too. After an hour, another friend told me to eat a big quantity of good food. So, I went to a new restaurant and started to eat everything I saw. The owner of the restaurant asked me if the people of Virginia City often had colds. I answered that they did. He then went outside, took down the new sign, and closed the restaurant. That day, I met another good friend. He told me that I must drink a bottle of warm salt water. This was the only remedy to cure a cold. I tried it, and the result was surprising. I threw up everything I had in my stomach. I will never drink warm salt water again, and I will never advise anyone to do so. I prefer being in a California earthquake than drinking a bottle of warm salt water. This horrible remedy did not cure my cold, and it made my stomach sick for some time. I continued to sneeze violently, achoo, achoo, to blow my nose, and to destroy handkerchiefs. My suffering grew. The remedies. One day, I met a woman who appeared to be 150 years old. She came from a deserted part of the far west, where there were no doctors. She had years of experience helping sick people. She prepared a special mixture of molasses, aquafortis, oils, and other strange drugs. She advised me to drink a glass of this mixture every 15 minutes. I only drank 1 glass of the mixture. It was enough to make me crazy. I became extremely mean and dangerous. My mind was full of wild thoughts. My behavior was horrible. I was proud of being bad. After a few days, the effect of the horrible mixture passed. I felt a lot worse. My cold passed from my head to my lungs. I coughed every moment of the day and of the night. It was impossible to sleep. The sound of my voice frightened me. I got worse every day. An old friend recommended gin. I drank it. Then I drank gin with molasses. Finally, I added onions. So I had gin, molasses, and onions. The smell of my breath was terrible. The San Francisco Remedy. I decided to travel to the countryside to improve my health. I went to Lake Bigler with my friend Wilson. We traveled in a comfortable Pioneer coach. At Lake Bigler, we fished and sailed on the lake. We hunted for hours in the woods. In the evening, we danced. I enjoyed myself greatly. But my illness got worse. A tourist at Lake Bigler recommended a cold sheet bath. I never refused the remedy. At midnight, when it was very cold, I undressed completely. I covered my body with a wet, ice-cold sheet. I kept the sheet on my body for a long time. It was the worst experience of my life. The wet, ice-cold sheet made my blood freeze and made my heart stop. I thought it was time for me to die. Never take a sheet bath. Never. This is my advice to everyone. My condition got a lot worse. Other people recommended other remedies. Not one of these remedies cured my cold. After a week at Lake Bigler, I decided to go to Steamboat Springs. I thought that the hot baths there were good for my health. They were not. While I was at Steamboat Springs, I tried several different remedies, but I just got worse and worse. I was desperate. I finally decided to visit the city of San Francisco. The day I arrived, a woman at the hotel told me to drink a bottle of whiskey every 24 hours. A dear friend who lived in San Francisco recommended exactly the same thing, a bottle of whiskey every 24 hours. That's 2 bottles of whiskey. Well, I am happy to say that this San Francisco remedy finally cured my cold.
A city is born. A Spanish explorer, Gaspar de Portola, discovered San Francisco Bay in 1769, and he built a presidio there. At the beginning of the 1800s, San Francisco, then called Yerba Buena, was a sleepy Spanish village. There was a presidio, a Spanish church called Mission Dolores, and some simple homes. There were few ships in the big harbor. With the discovery of gold in 1848, everything changed. San Francisco suddenly became a busy city. In only 1 year, its population went from 1,000 to 30,000. Settlers came from all parts of the world. There was a population explosion in California. The new settlers needed all types of things from the industries on the East Coast. The sea route from New York to San Francisco became an important one. The city of San Francisco became the most important settlement on the Pacific coast. The city and its port were full of life. The gold miners often went to San Francisco to sell their gold, to buy supplies, and to have fun. Those were exciting times. San Francisco today. Today, San Francisco is a beautiful metropolis by the bay. It is an international commercial and banking center. People from all parts of the world live and work there in harmony. San Francisco has always been a friendly city. Each year, thousands of tourists visit its unforgettable attractions. There is a big, colorful Chinese neighborhood called Chinatown. North Beach is the old Italian settlement with typical Italian food shops and cafes. Music, art, and theater are an important part of life in San Francisco. There are several excellent museums and universities. The city is built on steep hills. This fact gives it unusual beauty and extraordinary views. The architecture is a mix of modern skyscrapers and Victorian buildings. The gold rush days are over now, but San Francisco is still an exciting place.
From this valley they say you are going. I will miss your bright eyes and sweet smile, for I know you are taking the sunshine that has lighted my pathway a while. Come and sit by my side if you love me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu, but remember the Red River Valley and the one that has loved you so true. Just remember the Red River Valley and the one who has loved you so true. In the cavern, in the canyon, excavating for a mine, dwelt a miner, a 49er, and his daughter Clementine. Oh my darling, oh my darling, oh my darling Clementine, you are lost and gone forever, dreadful sorry Clementine. Drove she ducklings to the water every morning just a 9, hit her foot against a splinter, fell into the foaming brine. Oh my darling, oh my darling, oh my darling Clementine, you are lost and gone forever, dreadful sorry Clementine. There's a churchyard on the hillside where the flowers grow and twine. There grow roses amongst the posies, fertilized by Clementine. Oh my darling, oh my darling, oh my darling Clementine, you are lost and gone forever, dreadful sorry Clementine.